normal university. The topic for my presentation today is the intercultural competence, intercultural learning through collaborative online international learning, challenges for students and teachers. Well, the contents include introduction, literature review, research issues, method, results and discussion, and the conclusion. So let's start from the introduction part. The global communication and exchange really creates a lot of opportunities for connections between people, and that requires the competence of language and intercultural communication. So this make a lot of requirements on the institution of higher education and also teachers. So the new teaching and learning methods generated in various forms of virtual exchange, such as globally networked learning, telecollaboration, collaborative online learning, virtual transitional education become popular and adopted in the teaching approaches. So this study was to collect the feedback from teachers and students who had experience in participating in COIL projects. The objective was to synthesize and analyze the challenges and difficulties they had faced in the whole process. Meanwhile, the expected changes and support for COIL from teachers' perspective were discussed, which might shed a light on the future of COIL projects, help avoid potential problems, and guarantee the success of intercultural collaboration. So the literature review part comes from three aspects: COIL, affordances of COIL, and also challenges of COIL. So collaborative online international learning, called COIL for short, as one form of virtual exchange, means to connect people in different countries to develop collaborative projects that students do together across time zones, language differences, and geographic distance using online tools. It could be a part of a curriculum course to support students' learning goals, give opportunity to engage hand-on with course concepts and new ideas, and most importantly, exploring them from different cultural perspectives. Actually, there are a lot of research results about the affordances of COIL. So researchers have found that it can improve language competence. It can provide opportunities for global experiences, foster meaningful exchanges between students with peers, and enhance their international and intercultural understanding. It can offer valuable interpersonal and team skills, which is a prerequisite of employment. And also it can motivate a good study habit and enhance the conceptualization of the course content. And also it can lessen learners' anxiety when interacting with non-native speakers and cement participants' feelings of proximity and mutual support. So these are the affordances for students. And as for teachers, researchers have found it can transform teaching practice in positive ways, such as experiencing a unique learning environment and receiving a great deal of resources and training from institution, gaining new perspectives from international partners, and confidence in its own approach. But despite these affordances, there are a lot of challenges as well. So O'Dowd and Rita in year 2006 identified 4 levels at which factors can contribute to failed communication. So they are individual, classroom, or methodological, social, institutional, and interaction. So these 4 factors refers to different aspects. For example, individual level refers to the learner's level on motivations and expectations towards the exchange project. The classroom level refers to teacher-to-teacher relationship, task design, learner matching procedures, local group dynamics, and pre-exchange briefing. Social institutional level refers to the technology, general organization of the students' course of the study. And then lastly, the interaction level So they identified it as the misunderstandings and tension which arise from cultural differences in the communicative style and behaviors. Well, other researchers also find some challenges for students, such as logistical issues, such as the heavy workload, unclear guideline for assignments, time difference, lack of time, the impediment of language and the differences in academic culture compared to their counterparts, partners' absence, broken communication. And as for the form of communication, people find that written forms of communication may lead to misunderstandings. Synchronous communication can avoid this problem, but it requires students to switch linguistic and semiotic codes and become fluent in delivering information in new codes. So all these are the challenges for students. And as for the challenges for teachers, researchers have found teachers need to develop a series of new skills and attitude, especially on illiteracy. Teachers have a difficulty in arranging time and energy. It's hard to find an appropriate and steady partner. And also it includes online exchanges in the course syllabi and course evaluation schemes. Besides, they also need pedagogical support because traditional learning environment methods and pedagogies do not work in the COIL course. So Adult in 2009 concluded that difficulties result in telecollaboration remaining on the periphery of foreign language teaching, and only teachers and students who are willing to take it on as an add-on activity apart from traditional skills based language activity would explore it. So in this study, the research issues are like this. The aim of this study was to provide a picture for the current state of COIL project between the Chinese and Japanese second language learners of English in universities, and also to explore what difficulties and challenges teachers and students have encountered, how teachers reflected on development of COIL through improving it and calling for support. Well, in this study, there are two different questionnaires for teachers and students. Both of these questionnaires were developed in Chinese in order to avoid some language competence problem to students, and also in order to elicit more information. And these two questionnaires were handed out via internet. There are 41 year one students, and 24 of them are the learners of Japanese language, and 17 of them are the learners of French language. They have participated in COIL collaboration, which was blended in the college English course, and seemed on communicative skills through weekly oral discussions with Japanese partners before this survey. And the 7 teachers from the same Chinese institution, they had carried out the COIL projects for many years. They have a teaching experience for more than 17 years on average, and 3 to 6 years of experience in COIL teaching. And on average, they have carried out COIL for about 17 times. So that is more than 3 times per year. So let's come to the results in the discussion part. So this study analyzed the survey results from the 4 perspectives: the individual, classroom, social, institutional, and the interaction level identified by O'Dowd and Rita in 2006. So let's come to the research question 1. So what are the challenges for students? So here is the result. So the challenges are categorized according to these 4 aspects from language competence, involvement, time, cultural differences, and cognitive differences. So we can see from this table, the biggest challenge for students comes from the language competence. And for specific information, the students mentioned some other keywords like a broken language communication, vocabulary, pronunciation, understanding, and expressing. So among these, the biggest challenge to Chinese students in this study is the pronunciation problem. I guess probably a lot of them mentioned that they have a difficulty in understanding their partner's accent, which may cause them some difficulty in comprehending and also in delivering information. So the second most important part is the understanding part. So this is related to pronunciation. And also some students mentioned that the vocabulary, limited vocabulary make the things even worse. And several of the students mentioned that they have difficulty in expressing their ideas. So they think their language competence is not enough to make a successful communication. So in all, the language competence takes about 65% in all these challenges. Another thing, as for the individual level, is the involvement. So students mentioned that these late responses, low participation, and awkward silence made them frustrated and even lose their enthusiasm in this COIL project. On the socio-institutional level, time is a problem. Although this is in China, this is a collaboration between Chinese learners and the Japanese learners. The time difference is not huge. It's only 1 hour time difference. However, they didn't mention anything about the time difference. They only talk about this issue from the aspects like impunctuality, later reply, or postponing of appointments, or canceling the appointments like this. So this is a problem for students, and also they find it's rather frustrating. On the interaction level, students mentioned the cultural differences and the cognitive differences, but they are not very frequently mentioned. So for students, the biggest challenge comes from the language competence. And then let's come to the challenge number two, the research question number 2. So what the challenge is for teachers? So from this table, we can see the biggest challenge for teachers, for these Chinese teachers, was to find an ideal partner. So 5 out of 7 mentioned this problem. And also they mentioned the differences in teachers' aims. And also on the classroom level, they also mentioned that the students were in lack of motivation. And also there is a very different level of language proficiency. So one thing I want to explain a little is that these 7 teachers, they collaborate with different partners throughout the world. So this language proficiency problem and the time difference probably refers to the collaboration with other partners, not only from native speakers, but also from non-native speakers. So for teachers, the biggest problem is about finding a partner. And also differences in teaching aims. I think these 2 problems are interconnected, because when you find an ideal partner, that means that he has the same teaching aims and a similar students' backgrounds and also other things. So whether you can arrange or to make a similar or share the teaching syllabus is also a problem. So this is the hugest challenge to teachers. And as for the socio-institutional level, the technology issue and also time difference is a barrier, as teachers find. So as for the technological issue, this is also mentioned by a lot of researchers. I think probably this is a huge problem to Chinese educators, because some restrictions of applications. And the time difference is also one. Some teachers find that the time difference really decreases students' motivation in communication. And on the individual level of students, the teachers find probably one teacher reported this. They find she thought probably we can provide the students. Oh, sorry, not this one. So one teacher responded that she's in lack of time and energy, and the COIL really takes up a lot of her time, and that really shook her belief and make her feel frustrated sometimes. But however, when she finds the students' improvements and achievements, she finds it's rather rewarding. So the difficulties, the greatest challenge and difficulty to teachers actually from the classroom level. And no difficulty on interaction level was reported from teachers' survey and the students' survey. Then the research question 3. So how to improve COIL? Are there any expected changes or support? So from the teachers, we find that on the classroom level, the teachers wanted to standardize the syllabus and also improve the task forms. One teacher reported that she wants to choose academic themes and also adjust the duration of COIL projects. So as for the task forms, we see that among these 7 teachers, the most frequently used task forms are the group presentation, comparing cultures and customs. So these are the most frequently used. And the next are interviewing international partners, creating documents, web pages, and also discussing topics or texts. The less used tasks are the individual presentation and written assignments. So from this, we can see that these Chinese teachers in this study stress more on the collaborative study and also the learning outcome in a group instead of stressing on the individual achievements. And also as the form of the outcome, oral forms are preferred to written forms. And also as for the topics, generally, the general topics about culture and customs are preferred than the academic ones. So this is from the classroom level. And then let's move on to the social institutional level. So I try to categorize these answers into different, into 3 kinds. So the first is from the teachers' reflection on how to share their experience among teachers and also how to improve the assessment and also how to blend the COIL into the course instead of taking COIL as an individual part of the course and try to, but the teacher would like to integrate it into the whole course. So this is a big problem for teachers to make improvement on. Well, the second thing mentioned by these teachers are building up steady partners and also having a coordinator. So I try to categorize these 2 problems into one category because these are actually more from as the teachers reflected that this is what the institution should provide more support on. So instead of building up a teacher-to-teacher relationship, institution-to-institution relationship is preferred. And also, if we have a coordinator, probably he can help to maintain the relationship. And also in the early period of building up the relationship, finding partners, and also even in the final stage of reflecting on it, which can save the teachers a lot of time and energy, then the teachers can wholeheartedly put their attention into the teaching process and also the whole process of COIL. And the last part is from the technological support and institutional support. So the Technical support refers to the platform that students can use without any restriction. And the institutional support, as the teachers reflected, is probably the institution can cut down the workload of the COIL teachers as they spend more time and energy in each course. In this study, one teacher mentioned that probably we can provide training for students on the intercultural competence, because that can give the students some preparation for the intercultural collaboration and also guarantee the success of a COIL project. So there are some limitations of this study. First, this is a case study. So this is only about 41 students in one COIL project. If we can expand this scope to the students of these 7 teachers, probably we can find more answers. And also all these teachers, students are from the same university. So if we can have a larger scale research, probably we can find more. And also as for the survey tools, mostly we use the open-ended questions. So in order to address the issue in depth, a large scale of quantitative research with well-designed questionnaires was needed. So conclusion, the study attempted to contribute to a broader reflection of COIL practice in higher education in China in terms of the challenges to students and teachers, as well as the expected changes and support from teachers' perspective. The results provide us how to improve COIL practice and support instructors of COIL in order to reach greater achievements and fully integrate COIL into university curriculum. So the challenges for students is generally about language proficiency, and the challenges for teachers are generally about finding a long-term partner with similar pedagogical aims, motivating students, and also obtaining technical supports. And as for how to improve COIL, the teachers need more training and also to standardize the syllabus, and also to get a full-time coordinator. So actually, these are generally from the classroom level and institutional level. But if we see these actually are interconnected, as also mentioned by other researchers. So the training and also the coordinator these 2 problems can be supported by institution. So when the teacher get a more staff training or taking more conference or attending more forums, so probably they will have more idea on how to standardize or improve their syllabus. So generally, the institution can give the teachers a lot of support, like traveling or funding, attending conferences. Okay, so generally, these factors are not isolated, they are interconnected. So in order to improve COIL and also to show the greatest effect of COIL, probably not only teachers and students will pay their passion and enthusiasm. Institution and also the whole society needs to give more support. Okay, these are the selected references. Thank you for your attention.